Here's the thing. It's 10 weeks into a 16-week semester, and my classes had about 32 students to begin. Here we are 10 weeks into it. We're down to about 16. That's a 50% drop rate, and that's quite a bit. That's pretty much the way it's been. My feeling is the drop rate, if social conditions continue, the drop rate could get up to 70% in the next 5, 10 years. I'll talk about that in a second. But what I want to do today is explain why half of my students who take my freshman composition class, why half of them by week 10 are gone. Either they dropped or I had to drop them because they weren't viable. They were going to get an F. They were just showing up to class once in a while, not doing the work. And really, when you look at the 10 reasons why students drop a college composition class, it all can go under one umbrella, and you could then break down the reasons from there. Let's look at the one umbrella. The one reason that students are dropping is they can't keep up with the pace. By state mandate, we are in compliance with the chancellor at Berkeley. We are committed for a freshman composition class, which at my college is called English 1A, to assign 8,000 words. So there's 8,000 words of writing. That's fresh. That isn't even, you can't count revisions as the 8,000. So you've got 8,000 words. You've got readings on the syllabus, and you have to pace yourself so that you can write your essay early enough so you can proofread it. If you don't proofread it, the whole essay thing is almost worthless. It's almost worthless. And so what's happening is I'm going to tell you the half of the students that drop my freshman composition class called 1A at my college, they drop because they simply cannot keep up with the pace. And so really, when you're looking at the 10 reasons why students drop out of a freshman composition class, you're really looking at the reasons why they did not or could not keep up with the pace. And so the first reason that students drop out of a freshman composition class, not just mine, but other people's, is they've never been conditioned, they've never had to adapt to an environment that demands deadlines and punctuality. They just never have. Somehow they got through high school, slogging through, doing whatever they wanted, and now they're asked to be in a college class. You've got 8,000 words over 16 weeks. You're pretty much turning in a typed essay every 2 or 3 weeks, and you just can't keep up the pace. And so that's the first reason I'm seeing students drop out. The second reason is some of my students just don't have a sense of urgency. They don't see the stakes, and the stakes are really high. The gap between a high school graduate and a college graduate has never been bigger. I mean, you'd have to go all the way back to 1915. The stakes are huge. I don't know if you know this, but white middle-aged people who have never been looked upon as being at risk in this country, those white middle-aged people without college degrees are dying in huge numbers. They're dying prematurely. The rate of death is up 22%. And they don't have college degrees. I'm telling you, living in America without a college degree is like trying to survive through the Hunger Games. It's like trying to navigate through World War Z. It is brutal. When I was a freshman in college, I didn't have a sense of urgency either. I just think when you're young, you're so disoriented. You're preoccupied with so many things. And what happened to me was I got a letter from Cal State. They told me, dude, you are going to be on probation if you don't improve. And that really did slap me in the face, and it did give me a sense of urgency. But a lot of students, they have no sense of urgency. They don't adapt to the deadlines, and they drop. The third reason students drop my class is that they're overwhelmed by their huge literacy and grammar deficits. They never learned literacy or grammar in preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, high school, and here they are in a 16-week freshman composition class, and they're being asked to make up for all that lost time. They're getting papers back just larded with red ink, and this creates a sense of helplessness, and they're so discouraged. They're gone. They end up dropping the class. That's profoundly sad. I don't even know if the community college can make up for all that lost time, and the statistics bear that out. Of the community college students who aspire to get bachelor's degrees, about 10% do. So clearly, when you've got decades of grammar deficits, it's really hard to make up for that in one semester. And some of them are just gone. You never see them again. It's profoundly sad. Uh, I would say the fourth reason that students drop my class is more of a general philosophical reason. In America, when you're a little kid, you're conditioned to be a consumer. That's the American economy. That's what you're conditioned to be. To be a consumer means you're a fanboy, you're a Kool-Aid drinker for products, and you embrace all the mythology, hyperbole, and assumed reality of the consumer mentality. What is a consumer mentality? It's the notion that if you make enough money and buy this and follow this script, you'll be happy. We've got a product for you. And that's consumerism. You go into a writing class, a freshman composition class, and we're the opposite of that. Writing and reading and critical thinking is all about deconstructing mythology and false narratives and hyperbole. And some students, they just can't adapt to the critical thinking orientation. They're still stuck on the consumer orientation. And it doesn't matter how smart you are, if your brain has been conditioned for decades to be a consumer and to be unquestioning in the way you embrace consumerism, you may find it very difficult to connect with a class that requires critical thinking. That's number 4. Number 5. Ooh, this is a newer one. This is one that's come about in the last decade, maybe even less than that. I'm going to call this smartphone brain. This means your brain has been short-circuited by your pathological dependency on your smartphone. And what I will tell you is that going into a composition class with grammar, literacy deficits, and having a consumer mentality, and being faced with the stress and the anxiety of having to improve your grammar, your literacy, and to make deadlines, to write 8,000 words a semester, that stress, that anxiety, believe it or not, actually compels you to withdraw even more into your smartphone. Once you disappear into your smartphone, you're disconnected from the class, you're gone, you're going to drop. You're going to drop. This is something we didn't have. We didn't have that problem back in the day. That would be number 5. Number 6, this is very interesting. This is actually in some ways a new problem also. You're too angry to learn. Yes, you're just too angry to learn. Why are you angry? For some good reasons. There's some good reasons you're too angry to learn. You're looking around, you're looking at the, it's a whole new game in America. The cost of college is up 2,000% from when I went to college in 1979. It's up 2,000%. The job prospects are less. 45% of you with bachelor's degrees are living with your parents. 1 out of 3 of you with bachelor's degrees don't even have a job from that bachelor's degree. So we're now living in the hyper competition of the Hunger Games, where it's just be a survivor, and this is making you angry. You're saddled with debt from going to college. You're exhausted. You have all these deficits in grammar and literacy, and you're just too angry to learn. If you're that angry, and I was an angry young man, and that made it difficult for me to learn in college. When you're angry, your mind closes. You're closed to learning. And I think a lot of you are extremely angry, and you drop for that reason. And so that would be number 6. Number 7. Some of you, due to financial necessity, have to work so many hours that you just don't have time to do the work. Not only do you not have time to do the work, you're coming to class with sleep deprivation. So the whole thing is gone, and that's going to make you angry too. So that would be number 7. Now, number 8. Some of you, and this is only about 1 out of 30 students, about 3% of you, are just plain lazy. And so very low, about 3% of you in my observation over the last 30 years are just plain lazy. There's no fancy explanation. In fact, I have students who are very literate, who have no grammar problems, who love to read, who have no financial problems, who don't even work. And they don't comply with the deadlines for the simple fact that they're too lazy, they have no sense of accountability, and that's clearly sort of a narcissistic pathological description. The good news is, in my 30 years of teaching, that's only been about 3% of my students for number 7, or that would be number 8. Number 9, this is a more common problem. You really hate to read. I mean, the prospect of you putting down your smartphone, getting away from your computer, putting down your gadgets, and being in solitude with a book is a prospect more horrifying than going through a root canal. Some of you have never had the pleasure of reading. You've never been converted by a book. You've never gone on a head trip through some beautiful book experience. You really hate to read, and now you're in a class where there are assigned readings. There could be a novel in the class. There could be a collection of short stories, whatever. You hate reading. Bad place to be. In a writing class that requires reading, you are a fish out of water, and many of you, it's just too physically and psychologically painful. You're going to drop the class, and that's number 9. Number 10, hey, some of you don't like me. Look, come on, it's me, right? Hey, well, some of you don't like my Mr. Clean persona. Some of you don't like that I don't look like your preconceived notion of an English teacher. Some of you don't like that I look like a retired football player, a retired wrestling coach, a cop, that I'm actually the football coach, and I'm not really an English teacher. I'm just subbing for the real English teacher who had to take the semester off to do community service for drunk driving. Well, if you don't like the teacher, then, that's not going to work well either. You're going to end up dropping the class. To me, my conclusion about this is that what I see in my classroom is a microcosm of society. The literacy and grammar deficits, the deprivation, the anger because of this new hyper-competition world, the zombie state from being on smartphones, this is happening in society at large. My observations of human nature are that things don't get better until they get worse. So I don't know, in the next 10 years, man, the drop rate by week 10 of my freshman composition class, could it go up to 70% before things get better? I mean, that sounds like we're going to be living in World War Z. But, I just hope that breaking down this list of 10 will help you, that you'll be able to identify some of your psychological challenges, and that you'll be able to make some changes. I don't know, but I had to tell you the truth. I used to be Professor Hope before 2008. Lately, I've been Professor Reality, just giving you the brutal realities of being a student in college and trying to catch up. I hope it's helpful. Let me know. Until next time, I am out.